Okay. I'm on page 2 momentarily, and I'm picking up a little speed here, but that quote at the top of the page is exactly what this whole unit is about. Does the gospel still sound like good news to me? Does it sound like good news to you? If it means that God wants good things to happen to everyone, starting with the people we are convinced are the problem. And what that says is we live in a pretty politicized country. And you're a pretty good person, a pretty gracious person if you haven't decided certain people are problematic. And I wish we were all those gracious people, but we're structured in our society. We're being manipulated, quite frankly, I believe, by politics, the media for sensationalism, the politics for the self-preservation of politicians. But we have to keep remembering gospel first, Jesus first, that the gospel is good news, even for those people we are convinced are the problem. Whatever perspective we're coming from and whoever we're thinking of. Now, what I've been doing in this unit, I believe this should be clear, but I'm not sure it is. I've been acknowledging that the political tribe that I'm often identified with, whether I wish to be or not, has often gotten things wrong. And it has. And what I kind of wish is everyone would take that spirit. Whatever political tribal allegiances a person has, our country depends on the self-critical capacity. It depends on people who track conservative, recognizing conservative excess. It depends on people who track liberal, recognizing liberal excess. It depends on all of us recognizing whenever people we generally align with really are not being kind, fair, honest, or gracious to other people. And just because they're in my tribe doesn't excuse bad behavior. You know, that's what I'm getting at here, and I'm calling all of us to do that. So no labeling. It's hardly ever effective. No rushes to judgment. That's what grace is all about. I want to go back to Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. We all know it. Judge not, that you be not judged. Sermon on the Mount, and what it means. Because it's something I think Jesus meant it, that we are not to judge people. What does it mean? Well, for much of my life, what I quickly came to see, it means we don't condemn, right? But on the other hand, I think we all have enough common sense to know it doesn't rule out discerning, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. I mean, it means I don't stand in the place of God and condemn people and judge them in that sense, but it doesn't eliminate my need for my own good and for the good of people around me to discern what makes sense and what doesn't, what's good and what's less good, or whatever. And in fact, just a few years ago, I finally came across what I believe the answer to what is Jesus driving at. Jesus, I believe, is driving at this, to suspend that almost involuntary like and dislike we do. We make judgments on what is good and bad like that without thought. because we're wired that way.
Yeah,
We're
it's
conditioned
a
that way.
survival instinct.
It's a survival instinct. It's an instinct we were given for a good reason,
Mhm.
but now in a modern society, we are still doing it, and there are no bears out in the woods to catch us.
Yeah.
But we read something and we immediately like it or dislike it. We meet a person and we immediately like them or dislike them. We hear something and we immediately like them or dislike them. And Jesus is saying, quit. Quit that knee-jerk kind of, what does that mean? It means slow down. Think. You know, it doesn't mean you're not going to make some discernment with more knowledge and with a little patience and a little more insight, but don't do that spontaneous thing and think you got it. Because, often it's variably good for people. I mean, some people are pretty good at it but none of us are perfect at it. And so we've all made mistakes, and I see that person and I already have read this, and this. Well, that's kind of okay if I remember that's exactly what I've done and I might be wrong.
Right.
That's the, that's what I'm getting at here. What this whole unit is about is as simple as this: to proclaim the good news of great joy that's for all the people, which goes back to the quote, starting with the people we are convinced are the problem, because that's where the test of love really goes. And I would like to think that this is a church family that across the board can act maturely on this. And I'm wondering, I'm a little demoralized, a little bit, because I'm wondering about that. Can we, across the board, recognize good news of great joy for all the people, not just the people that think like I do, but people who think very differently from me, and that's not going to make any difference to me in how much I love them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to label them. I'm not going to write them off. I'm not going to do any of that. They're my brothers and sisters in Christ, and we're good. But so that's what we're talking about here, and I don't know how to make it any clearer than I just made it. I wish about 10 more people or maybe 50 more people were online right now, so they were hearing me make that point, because we all have to get that. That's what's supposed to happen in Christ. American politics may make it hard, but in Christ, that is what is supposed to happen. Okay, so on page 6, which we made several starts at, and we are going to make a big run at it this time.
Let's see.
I asked people to imagine that you have in front of you a person who's generally supportive of the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Well, I won't rule out the possibility that, people in our church, there might be some, but that's okay. I mean, at every step of the way, reverse it, and it means the same thing to me. You follow what I mean? If it's something that really triggers a conservative mind, liberal disdain from academia, the way it's condescending, the way it's patronizing, the way it looks down on people as deplorables. Wrong. But I'm asking people this is the group I'm thinking about tonight. This bestseller did a great job of going out into America and trying to get to know these people. Think of being at a rally. Several of us after the class last week were talking about this and realized we needed to clarify this. We're listening to things that drew the people to the rally and that excite them about the rally. We're at the rally with them. we're probably not going to try to have a deep religious discussion there. I'm talking about the person who you're having coffee with some weeks later and you find out they were at the rally and that's how they feel about things. Well, then you can start having a talk. At the rally would be a really bad place to like really get into it. You know, that's not what I'm, you might think that that's what I was trying to ask of people, but not realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do in saying Jeff Sharlet went through the country and tried to discern what was driving this group of people that were highly supportive of what happened in January 6th. And often it's at a rally. And so I'm going to read the whole list here. It's a good list. I mean, honestly, the point is, bottom line is most of us can identify with a lot of things in this list. There are things we struggle with one way or the other. But just the comfort of crowds, the sense of togetherness, of solidarity with people who are just like me, and particularly people that quit shaming me. You know, I mean, I feel shamed out there, these people are saying, and in this crowd, I feel okay. Well, yeah, okay. The appeal of a leader who stands up there and represents our bluntest selves, our sense of outrage, our deepest desires, who says what we all think, who ends our sense of shame, who takes what we all say in the back porch and puts it on the front porch. Okay, the draw of the prosperity gospel, the importance, you know, American religion of winning. Okay, maybe not American, it's probably Western, but I think we beat everybody at it. I think winning is more important in our country than in most countries. Maybe another country that's, you know, like that, probably. But the notion of how important it is to win and to feel positive about myself, again, that's the key thing. To be in a place where I can kind of feel positive about who I am, instead of being shamed by the cultural elites out there who I feel are shaming me, whether they are or not. I just have this sense that what they say and what they write is a put down. The promise of deliverance here and now. I mean, what are these people looking for? They're looking for salvation. Well, wow. That's the business we're in. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, but as opposed to our judging and our writing them off, listen to what they're really saying. They want to feel safe again. They want to feel brave. They want to feel like a winner. They want to feel strong again. They want to celebrate and find joy in the pleasure of power. But the notion of they want to feel strong. They want to feel empowered. Well, who doesn't? You know, now, well, we'll come back to that one. But just how good it just feels to believe again. You know, they're in a crowd of people and there are some things now they can believe. Well, as opposed to in this amorphous space where they don't know what to believe. Oh, I can believe again. I can believe in this. I can believe in those words. It's just, belief feels good. Well, of course it feels good. That's the business we're in too, right? Okay, feeling public intimacy with a leader who leads, who's not a servant, but a leader, who radiates the greatness we all crave. Now, I could talk about strength and weakness, and stay tuned Sunday morning in the sermon I'm going to, but everybody wants a strong leader. You know, I mean, the strong leaders in our country are icons. Abraham Lincoln was a strong leader. FDR was a strong leader. John Kennedy was a strong leader.
Trump was a strong leader.
The what?
Trump was a strong leader.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh,
The-
didn't know
the-
when to keep his mouth shut.
So he radiates the greatness that many people are looking for. Now, here's the one that's important, that everyone should kind of say, oh, might want to think about that. The timeless appeal of Gnosticism. Now, that's a historic theological word. The Gnostics were those who claimed to know. Those who claimed, from the Greek word gnosis, the knowers. But I would actually say what historians talk about are those who claim to know, the ones who believe they have the inside track. Like I was raised in the Church of Christ 60 years ago. We were Gnostics.
Yes.
You know, we were the ones who knew, and the rest of the world, shame about the other 99.99%, but they just didn't get in on the inside trick that we had. You know, well, but that is an eternal draw. To be on the inside, to have exclusive knowledge that's reserved for the faithful. That is a powerful appeal. It's at the core of sectarian thought. But we all can be triggered there. We all can be seduced to that kind of thinking. And you think QAnon. Guess what? I don't understand QAnon, but I'm pretty sure nobody in QAnon understands it either. It's just make up conspiracies as you go along. But it's you and your group that knows the inside scoop of what's going to happen. So in this case, it's also access to knowledge that's not reliant on scholarship or experts. Well, from my standpoint, because I really like scholarship or experts, I'm saying I don't want to go there. But what are they really saying? They're saying we count too. We count too. And of course, so there's the timeless appeal of having that exclusive knowledge. The January 6th assaulters, many of them felt that, but I'm saying, hey, we've done that. I've done that with parts of my life. So there's something universal going on here. The sense of spiritual warfare, being part of a cosmic struggle of good versus evil, of us versus them. You know, often there is spiritual warfare up to a point. I don't want to be one of those who sees a demon behind every rock, but there's spiritual warfare going on. Drives a crowd like this a lot. They don't call it spiritual, it's cosmic warfare, right? Good, right and wrong, right and left, good versus evil, us versus them. Essentially the same point is the seduction of an enemies list. The creating one's identity by what or whom one is against. Well, I'll tell you what, the crew I'm talking about tonight are not the only ones that do that. The left wing does that too. The point is, it's always wrong whether the left wing does it or the right wing does it. And that's what I'm trying to drive at tonight. We all have problems. But then the last one is the cult of innocence. The belief that one might be innocent of history, innocent of the sins of our fathers. Does that make sense to you? I don't want to camp there. The notion of, well, you're retelling, I always was proud of this country. And you're telling me it was completely built on exploitation. It was always about land grabs. It was always about.
So
It was built on
entire
slavery.
races of people.
Yeah, that's the core. I always thought the genius of America was the Constitution and the thoughts of the founding fathers. You're telling me the genius of America was exploiting Black people. And well, that happened, but why are you making me feel bad about that now? Because I want to feel innocent again. I don't want to feel dirty. This stuff, this is dirty stuff. Can we talk about something else? Well, of course they're thinking that. We all want to. There's always times when we've all said, can we think happy thoughts? You know, that's essentially what they're saying at that point. Okay, so that's a profile, and I think Charlotte did a great job of just listening to people, hearing them, feeding back, doing active listening, getting some sense of is this what you mean, and then communicating it to the rest of the country. And I think we need more of this. We need people who can communicate what various groups of people's frustrations may.
Well, Dale, this is exactly the same types of things that radicalize people to do all kinds of things that they, probably normally wouldn't do, like strap a bomb to their body.
Excessively, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's not strictly a right wing
right
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, left wing people have done insane things
Mm-hmm.
when you get radicalized.
Mm-hmm.
When you get radicalized. So the big question to me was, so what does the gospel have to say to these things? And I'm not taking them one by one tonight. But I'm going to take two of them and ask, what is the response? What is the word of gospel for this thing? For the cult of innocence. The belief that one might be innocent of history, innocent of the sins of our fathers. Takes the form of, I'm tired of school teachers telling my kids we're a bad country. I mean, that's how it's coming across. That's, kind of understand it. What's the gospel for that?
Doesn't matter how bad you are or how bad your ancestors are, we all can be forgiven.
It's all, yeah.
Christ, we can all be forgiven.
The gospel is all about grace. It's all about grace. People make mistakes. Sometimes they're huge mistakes. And but our standing before God doesn't depend on our perfectionism. Doesn't depend on getting everything right. We all make mistakes, and that's what grace means. That in spite of the dunderheaded things I've done in my life, I still stand by the blood of Christ, innocent before God. So why are you worried about all this one way or the other? Except that we've lost our spiritual bearings, and people aren't going to churches and being reminded of these things. But if the gospel is the perfect answer for most of these things. A second one, wanting to feel safe again, to feel brave, to feel like a winner, to feel strong again, to find joy in the pleasure in power. And I would say the key word there is what the gospel offers is joy. And so if people were finding in religious experience the joy that's meant to be, that it's good news. It's good news for everybody. It's good news even for the ones you think are the problem. It's meant to be good news for them, and it is good news for them. It's meant for them. It's meant for them as much as it is for you. It's good news, and the result of knowing what God did through Christ is undeniably joy. Undeniably joy. You shouldn't have to go to the Super Bowl to finally figure out what joy is. I mean, go to the Super Bowl and enjoy it. But some people have to go to sporting events because it's the only place they're going to find joy. You're not going to find it in a church somewhere. churches are preaching bad news. But the other thing I would say is, and this came to me relatively late in my life, in a minister quite a while before it dawned on me that religion isn't just cerebral. It isn't just stuff in your head. It's about emotionality. It's about having transforming moments when you feel like God is right there. And when you can get there, you don't need to have a rally or a sports event to have that feeling. Churches should be places that teach you that feeling is legitimate and God-given anywhere. Should be happening at church from time to time, but I'm not putting the pressure on the church to like always be rah-rah, you know. But I'm saying, but I am saying that you should be learning from church that I don't need to get my high in any other way than God, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And you know, but the church has to be showing that and can show that. There's been some cultural factors that worked against it. Puritan thought, sort of, yeah.
No, through my addiction, you know, it was like what you told me all the time was focused on God. The drugs they go away, you know, eventually. They go away short term. But
Yeah.
God is there all the time.
Yeah,
Love, given, so on.
Mhm.
well put. Absolutely well put.
It's like it's like a lady eating a piece of cake, okay? It's like you eat it and that's just good. It goes down the stomach and the taste goes away, but the feeling's still in the stomach and you're gonna get heavier.
Yeah,
You follow me?
yeah.
It's short
Yeah.
term, it's like,
Yeah, the high that comes from God is not destroying your body otherwise.
it's right, and it's long term.
That's the key. The high that comes from God shouldn't be putting you into a group of people that are looking down on all sorts of other groups of people. That's not the high you should get. It's the connection I feel with God.
And that particular quote right there, like you say, I do see the humanity in it, to want to feel safe again, to feel brave. And you ask, what is the gospel around this? And, you know, you can, not, I would say this is somebody in the rally, but you could, in the Bible, this is the promises that we've been given, right? That we are safe, that we
Yes.
can do all things through Christ Jesus.
Exactly.
That we have, you know, victory through the blood, that, you know, rejoice. Again, I say rejoice, you know, we told, I think that a lot of people, and I know, I don't know if you're not a Christian yet, if you can understand that there's a difference between being excited and joy.
Yeah,
Because I love sports, so I'm always get riled up, excited, but that's different than joy, because the joy, you know, it comes only from God, and it's not dependent on any outward circumstances. But if somebody doesn't have a relationship with God yet, to them, joy is that feeling in the crowd.
yeah.
And you can't tell them that's not joy.
All you can tell them is what you just began with. I mean, you had these verses just popping out right there, and that's exactly it, your story. You tell them your story and where you get your joy, and they start. Oh, but we have to know that joy matters, and it's good, and that's where we're supposed to be. You know, life has tough moments too. It has loss and it has everything else in it. But joy is the default position, is what I'm increasingly deciding. That, and for all the reasons you're talking about, that I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And for the person who's struggling out there, I believe you can do all things through the God who strengthens us. I believe that can be yours. That's what coffee 2 weeks later with the friend you made at the rally. That's where that works. It's not something to bring up at the rally, but you just find out about a solution. But what I want us to catch from this page is these are all universal human values. Everybody has them. We are all wired to essentially want most of these things. You can go through here and find, well, it's a little bit of too much emphasis on that, maybe, okay. But the main point here is you don't write the person off or the group off. You live, show, and tell the gospel. That's the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, while you were speaking, I was thinking about, like, just thinking about these thoughts, and I'm like, man, where does this come from? I mean, just like wanting to feel like, there's a one leader leading us and all that, and I was just all of a sudden I remember all the movies that we see where, people are overthrowing your government, because it's not doing the work for you, so you are taking the power from them. Or even right to bear arms, right? Like it's those kind of things, when you share that in a huge group, it kind of empowers you, even when you are not certain about some of the
Yeah.
stands, you're gonna most likely to conform because of the group.
Yeah.
Like group has a power to do something or not do anything. So and it works both ways.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, we've seen like Rodney King where group didn't do anything, and when we see here like a riot where group actually got together and did something. So it's like what you feed to the group, that's where it's gonna go. So like if you feed them positivity and how they can achieve exactly what they want without having to go through the extreme of Capital One riot, they would listen to you eventually.
Yes.
If you give them a way out, because that's what, like you're saying, like that's what they're looking for, is joy.
Yeah.
They're
They're looking for salvation. And
Yeah.
And we are the messengers, and we're meant to be living it and showing it and telling it.
Yeah.
So that's, do not write people off. I mean, sometimes I have to let people go. I mean, I can't do anything about this, but we do not write them off. Okay, page 8. And
Dale, can you write someone off though? They're bringing you down,
yeah,
I mean, down, they'll give you negative.
when you are writing them off.
Yeah, when you're
Yes.
writing them off.
Pretty good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it drags you down whenever you write somebody off. You are drugged down with who you're dragging down.
Send them away in peace.
Yeah. But the main point, the main point is, the main point is just, we don't write one another off. I mean, we don't do it in church, but I mean, we don't do it in life. You don't write people off. You have to sometimes put borders around such boundaries around situations. You have to do things like that. But I'm talking about that instinct in your mind that well, that group's deplorable. I'm sure that was probably the last statement in the world Hillary Clinton wanted to make. And I don't know how deeply it ran in her, but how unfortunate. But at least it kind of surfaced it up like Donald Trump does. He surfaces some things up and we all get to look at him again and say, oh, writing people off as a basket of deplorables is not a good idea. It doesn't seem to work, and it's the last thing Christ would do.
Oh, of course.
I just wanna. I wanna say like, if I'm gonna not write people off, I have to see that. Some connection to them with myself. And I'm looking at all of these and I'm saying, yes, I know I'm a Christian, but there are times where I'm not paying attention to God the way I should.
Yeah.
And this is me. I start looking to other things in the world to give me some joy or something. And this could be on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis. Sometimes I lose sight of what's really important. And I could fall in any of these categories.
Exactly.
And
We're in
so-
this together.
It's. We're all, I don't wanna say, I'm not trying to fake it, but we're all deplorable in a certain way. We all have this
Yes.
thing in us that is not right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And so.
And that's not the end of the world, because that's where grace and forgiveness come in, and we're the purveyors of that too.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, but I mean, like, so, cause. Yeah, they're, I'm just as deplorable as they are. But it looks different, but it's still, if they're deplorables, I'm deplorable too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, they're deplorable and I'm not deplorable. Or we're not, nobody's deplorable. But
Someone should
I
preach
do
a
think-
sermon on something like that. Laconia, next time you're up there, could you?
It's the,
Okay. Yeah, that's well put. Okay, page 8. Here are some of the issues that this whole matter raises. Some of the societal challenges and how they might best, that is, most lovingly be met. And this week and next week, we're gonna work our way through these. We have good time left tonight. And then we're gonna move on. But one of the challenges here then is how to tell the truth kindly. How to tell the truth kindly. I'm going to be gracious. I'm going to be forgiving. I'm going to be accepting. Am I going to tell the truth? So it's the combination. So how to tell the truth kindly? What thoughts on that? I mean, actually, I can combine this one with engaging in social media. Where a lot of this happens right now. But it's not just in social media. How to tell the truth kindly. Some observations you have on, you would do this, but you wouldn't do that.
Something just happened on Facebook with a person I've come to contact, she's white.
Okay, you're always stirring up stuff on Facebook.
But I think it's important to what Dale just said. Debbie Gates, I put in a post about how the CIA contributed to Patrice Lumumba being assassinated in the Congo. And what's going on for 60 years is a direct result of that. And also the Belgian Congo, the atrocities related to that.
And they were horrendous.
And they were horrendous. And Debbie Gates's response was, I am so sorry. And my response was, it's not your fault. But your response gives me hope.
But what?
Your response gives me hope.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think I tried to speak to truth, but I also tried to speak to the fact that her spirit was the kind of spirit that
Yeah.
moves me to have hope about how people do respond to these situations.
yeah. I did see today on Facebook, and I'm gonna bet Laconia did too, but we're in the same echo chamber.
Uh-oh.
A friend of mine who is as witty and clever and insightful as anyone I know. And I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but he said, one of the real frustrations in life, one of the saddest things about life is you can tell people are idiots as much as you want and as clearly as you want, and they still don't get it.
Yeah,
And I thought, well, the problem with that sentence is you call them idiots.
yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, he was wondering like, why don't they get it? When the conversation begins with you're an idiot, there's a pretty good chance the person on the other side ain't gonna get it.
It's interesting, but even when I was thinking about how to tell truth kindly, it reminded me of Paul, when he talks about the God that is unnamed among all the
Yeah.
gods that they had in the marketplace. And he said, I'm gonna talk to you about that God, and he spoke his truth. But he did not like told them like, hey, by the way, y'all are idol worshippers. You're about to go to hell, but I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
No.
Then it would have just stirred up everything and
Yeah.
nothing would have been preached,
Mhm.
you know, but he was able to be sensitive to what they believe already and then still tell them what they don't know.
Mhm.
Right.
You
you know.
didn't shame them first.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jamie,
If someone called me an idiot, you know, and I did wrong, and I am an idiot, that wouldn't bother me. I would learn from that. Names don't really bother me, people don't really, you like.
that's
me,
one of the
like me,
things,
you
that's one of
love-
the things I like about you, yeah.
You love me, love me, love me, hate me, hate me, whatever. No, but if you did call me an idiot and I was doing wrong, I am an idiot. And I would learn from that.
Okay, yeah, I know that because I called you an idiot all the time. And you think that's, and you think that's okay.
you know what, you call me an idiot too.
But I also know some other people,
Yeah.
you know, and you have to know who is who. And I don't think I've ever called you an idiot.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
No, I'm.
It has to do with the-
There's every possibility.
I'm a big ball fan.
But no, I mean, you shoot straight. You want
Right.
people to shoot
Right,
straight with
right.
you, and I do that.
And there's a relationship there.
There's a relationship there, but just because someone disagrees with me, especially on social media where I really don't know them at all,
Right.
that is not probably the place to say,
Yeah.
you're an idiot. There's no relationship. I don't even know who this person is. I just led with my worst card, you know, and
Bill, I have to be honest, and I do snag on that first statement. How do you tell the truth clearly? Because we don't know, you know, we have so many the truths
Mhm.
out there and people think that they have the truth.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, you know what, if I took the out, that might,
Yeah,
Might be
I mean, or
easier.
even say, how do you tell your truth kindly, you know?
but I don't want to turn it simply into, well, your truth is that, my truth is this,
Right.
as if we don't have truth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're telling your truth, you're more likely to talk about more about the context of where you came to your truth,
Gotcha,
Mhm.
gotcha.
you know?
You're telling your story.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And your implication is not, we talked about this a week or two ago. The implication is not that all truth is relative, but that it's context based
That's right.
and it's partial.
Mm-hmm.
And what you know partially is this, and this is
Right.
the reason why you know that.
Yeah, right.
And yes, so that's helpful.
Take out tell the, and you get how to truth kindly.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Oh, what now?
Take out tell the,
how to tell the
how, and just how to truth kindly.
truth.
Yeah, except we end up,
Or how to be truthful.
yeah,
Mhm.
You're saying it's about respect, harmony as well.
Yeah, it is, yeah, because I think you can let someone know that they're kind of being hurtful or they
Yes.
are going down a path that's kind of difficult, but it can be done disrespectfully and it can be done respectfully.
Yep.
And the chances of helping that person take a better path is better when it's done respectfully. Not everybody, but the chances are that that's gonna be better.
What I like about what Laconia said and what I don't like, but, no, what I like about what Laconia said is it is how to truth kindly. It's way more than what you say with words.
Mhm.
But I'm talking about the damage you do with words now, so that's why I'm still working with tell.
Mhm.
But of course, what people do see and hear a whole lot more is how you are than what you say.
And I was trying to be funny, not realizing how brilliant I was.
It's okay.
Moving on.
Moving right along. Okay, a few ideas that I jotted down today, and you know, what these units are meant to be is just surface the common wisdom of the room. That most of this stuff isn't rocket science. You don't have to be an expert. The more you know of scripture, yes, the better. But just sharing how to love in tough situations, you will know things that I will forget or have forgotten, and maybe I will. But the point is sharing the collective wisdom on points like that. But you know, the first thing I thought of, go light on labels. Go light on labels, be strong on principles. You know, state what the real issue is to you, but that doesn't call for name calling. You know, be careful of misrepresentation. Disputing a statement that's not actually been made. Don't misrepresent the person you're in dialogue with. Always be seeking to understand the other person. Why do they think that? I don't think that way, but they think that way. Isn't that interesting? That's what should be happening. And listen, I'm talking to myself. You know, I hear things like, you know, and say, no, slow down, seek to understand, to tell truth kindly, seek to understand, always be aware of the partial truth you have and what part of the truth might they bring to you that would never have occurred to you. You know, and they haven't. You know, I don't think I've met a person who I've spent any significant time with that I hadn't thought of it that way. That's, yeah. Okay. And then being conscious of how you'll be heard. You know, before I shoot something out on social media, for instance, I try my very best to think through people who have perspectives different than me. How will that affect how they hear that? Because they may end up hearing it in a way very different than I intended. I didn't mean for them to hear it that way. For instance, being conscious of how you'll be heard perhaps as dismissive or condescending. That's the, you know, and everybody kind of does that, and no one likes to be on the receiving end of that, to feel that they've just been not heard, dismissive or condescending. How to teach history hopefully. That's, you know, the school board around the country and school boards and state levels, school boards and town levels. You know, this is the big issue in front of them. And the truth is that most stories that are being told about America, almost all of them are true. Almost all of them. Brilliant founding fathers coming up with the Constitution and documents that no other nation to that point had come up with. and most of the great constitutions that other nations have now come up with go back to 1776 in America. You know, and then you can build on ingenuity, you can build on the achievements of America, that American was often the first to do this, the first to do that, the first, great. And yes, there was slavery. And it was awful. It was worse than you think it was. Both of those are true, but teaching history hopefully is the recognition that, you know, I always try to figure out books 100 years from now are going to describe us how. Ouch. You know, I mean, we're the epitome of civilization. We're the apex. We've made it to the top. We're more sensitive and ethically conscious than anybody. In 100 years from now, that's all going to be put to lie. And so the point is progress. The point is there's heroism to tell about, and there's problems. But they're problems that can be and often are being surmounted. What's not hopeful about that? You know, why do I have to clean up, by which I mean eradicate the truth about the past, to be a happy person? I won't be a happy person. I'll be a really insecure person that's worried about the next person who's going to tell me what really happened, and I'm just going to get mad. Well, that's no place to be. You know, so there's every reason to teach it, hopefully. Okay, next week we will finish out this page and move on. Thank you very, very much.
Sweet dreams, everybody.
Good night.